Uh-huh. Okay, great. Hi. So welcome both of you. I'm so excited to be here. And for all of our listeners, today we're getting together to discuss Dr. Larry Farwell's newest research and scientific findings that I feel is going to shift consciousness on this planet and can, have everyone realize their dreams and, very quickly with this knowledge. So I'm really glad that you're here. And so I want to dive in. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sage Robinson, and this is Dr. Larry Farwell. And Dr. Larry Farwell is the inventor of the software that allows quadriplegics to speak using their brainwaves that gets transmitted to a voice box. He is responsible for brain fingerprinting and has worked side by side with President Bush, the FBI, the CIA, and he's made huge impact in our plight on terrorism. And all of this research was done while studying consciousness, which leads us to his newest, most incredible research and findings, and his book, The Science of Creating Miracles, Neuroscience, Quantum Physics, and Living the Life of Your Dreams. So I'm really excited to get to hear from you and what this research means for all of us. Okay, and before we get into that, I'd like to also introduce Satyen Raja. And Satyen...
one of my favorite people in the world.
Mine as well. Huge impact in my own life. But Satyen is the founder and CEO of Warrior Sage and Accelerated Evolution Academy. He has 35 years of being a powerful mentor in the field of consciousness and over 23 years of globally impacting over 100,000 students in over 50 countries. His work has been featured all over the world. He works with prestigious CEOs of very big companies that are making huge impacts on our planet. And he is also the author of Transcendent CEO and Transcendent Culture. And he has been coined the CEO Oracle. And I'm also very honored because I've been a lifelong student of his for 20 plus years now. And he is responsible directly for the quantum leaps that I've made in my own life and shifting consciousness in a really huge way. So I'm really grateful for you to be here, and thank you both. So
Honored to be here.
Yes.
Delightful to be here. It's always a delight to see you, Sage, and Satyen, as I said, one of my favorite people in the world, a great leader and someone I love to share thoughts and ideas and inspiration with.
Yeah, so first, I'd love to just hear from you, Larry. I want to hear about this book, about this research. So go ahead and just dive right in. Tell us what brought you to this research and tell us what is so amazing and why people really need to know this.
All right. Well, the title of my book is The Science of Creating Miracles, Neuroscience, Quantum Physics, and Living the Life of Your Dreams. And it's about what the title says. If you look at what wise people have said throughout the ages in the scriptures from 10,000 years ago, and also the latest book that came out last week on how to be successful in life, saying a lot of the same things. Wise people have always been saying a lot of the same things. The way you create your life is you create a vision, an impulse on the level of your consciousness that moves nature in that impulse, and then that is created in your life and in your environment. But no one had ever studied that phenomenon scientifically and put it to the test in a scientific laboratory. All of the great spiritual traditions tell us that the inner field of pure consciousness is the same as what we now call the conscious unified field of quantum mechanics that arises like an ocean into the particle wave phenomena that make up the physical universe. And in quantum mechanics, we know that the observer influences the observed. We don't just come along and look at the world. We're, in a very real sense, creating our lives and creating our world as we impact it with our consciousness. But what hadn't been studied is how to create your life, how to create the life of your dreams, how to create miracles. And in the past, it was thought that a miracle was something that was impossible according to the laws of science, and that somehow it perhaps happened. Well, in quantum mechanics, anything is possible. Any imaginable phenomenon is possible in the quantum mechanical world. So a miracle would simply be an improbable event, or highly improbable event. Now, the question that my father, physicist George Farwell, and I explored is if we can create miracles, if we can create improbable events by using our consciousness. I mean, all the wise people have always said that, but nobody tested it in the scientific laboratory. My dad was one of the scientists who, on the Manhattan Project, who developed the first atomic bomb, the first use of nuclear energy. And we decided that we would do some of that plutonium, it's one of the major ingredients of an atomic bomb, to conduct research and see if we could actually create a highly improbable event. Everybody's had the experience, I'd really like to hear from Sally, and then the phone rings and it's Sally. So maybe we created that, but you don't know the probability, so that's not really a scientific experiment. But we know the exact probability distribution of alpha particle emission by plutonium. So we decided to measure that and see if we could create an impulse on the level of our consciousness, which would move the conscious unified field that gives rise to plutonium and everything else in the physical universe. And the whole physical universe is just quantum mechanical events. See if we could shift the probability distribution of that, create, using our consciousness alone, create a highly improbable event. That means create a miracle, but in the scientific definition of a miracle. And we found that we could. We found that we could create off-the-chart statistically improbable events in quantum mechanical process measured using standard quantum physics apparatus. So we're not talking woo here. We're not talking woo-woo here. We're talking science. We're talking a scientific experiment. So the purpose of that, the value of that is that learning to harness our consciousness, we can learn to create miracles in our lives. And the miracles that are really required in order for the world to work out in a good way in the near future are magnificent, and that's what Science Creating Miracles is about.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And so, because for those of us that aren't neuroscientists, and quantum physicists, right? Because I read your book from front to back, and it is absolutely riveting. I actually feel like my entire life has led up to this book right here, and it makes it really clear for those of us, who aren't neuroscientists and quantum physicists to really be able to understand what that means, and you talk about something that, like how the brain works, and that I found was really important in understanding how we have been programmed with what we're getting right now, in our life, and what we can do to actually utilize that information to reprogram ourselves on purpose. So would you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of understanding to be gained from studying this stuff. However, what's really important is our experience of life. So what my book is really about, Science Creating Miracles, is really about giving people the experience of how to create miracles in your lives. And of course, Satyen, I'm really looking forward to hearing from him in a few minutes. He's an expert in helping people to create the life of their dreams in a very practical way. So, how the brain learns. All right, we can quickly go through that. Say you're 2 years old, you're crawling around on the floor. Touch the wall, you touch the chair leg, you touch the floor, not much to learn there. You touch the hot stove, now you have an aha experience. That really gets your attention. And touching the hot stove, now there's something important that I've got to learn, something important that's going to create a difference if I incorporate this into my life. So these aha experiences open the brain up for reprogramming. And that is how the brain learns. That's how we grow and evolve. Now, very often, we're coming along in life, and some experience comes along that really gets to you, that triggers you. Well, instead of creating an experience, a learning experience out of that, we react to that. We create a reaction. We shoot the messenger, or we punish the messenger, or we take it internally. Oh, maybe I really am a horrible person. Now, one key to using the brain in an effective way is when something comes along that actually triggers you, that overshadows you, that gets to you somehow. Instead of reacting, tune into stuff. Tune into that inner field of life where you sense your own inner resonance and what actually, where you're attuned with yourself, you're attuned with nature on a quiet level. The intellect shouts, the emotions scream, the intuition whispers. So tune in intuitively to who you really are. Use that opening up of the brain for reprogramming your brain to be more in tune with yourself, more in tune with nature. And that way we can take advantage of neuroscience and quantum physics and the way that the brain learns to create a shift in our lives in a positive direction, even when something negative comes along.
Yeah, thank you. And just to kind of put it in layman's terms, like with my own understanding, okay? So what I got is that when we have a really intense experience, whether it be super joyous or super painful, right? That if our brain creates something you call a murmur, right? A murmur moment, right? It reacts differently than if we're just on regular experience mode, right? And so
you mentioned murmur, memory and encoding related multifaceted electroencephalographic response, MER. And these murmur moments, these aha moments, are what open up the brain for reprogramming. That's how we learn in our life. Go ahead, Sage.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I couldn't remember the actual verbiage. But yes, so the murmur moment, right? So all of a sudden our brain has this murmur moment, which is a different response than what we normally have on regular experience mode. All of a sudden we become open to receive new information, and we become reprogrammed with all the information that comes in that moment. So if we have those painful things that happen throughout our lifetime, right? Or the ideas around money or whatever that is, like all of a sudden we are reprogrammed in those moments of those painful spots with all of the beliefs, right? I can't trust them, or money doesn't grow on trees, or whatever that is. Now we're reprogrammed with that stuff. And that stuff, in essence, is creating the life that we're getting. Correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff, the vision we have on the level of our consciousness really does create the life that we live. And I mean, we've showed that in the scientific laboratory, that you can create improbable events in the world based on your consciousness. It's as if we have a guitar. You pluck the string on the guitar, it resonates at a particular resonant frequency. Now, another instrument in the environment with a similar resonant frequency will start to resonate in that same resonance, and then you have the harmony of it. Well, what happens to what we envision at a quiet level of our consciousness is that moves the conscious unified field, which is the basis of the physical creation. And I'm not talking woo-woo here. I'm talking quantum mechanics we can measure. And that creates that resonance in our environment. So in a very real sense, we create our lives. Now, there are two aspects to that. One is what we create on the level of our consciousness. And then, of course, there's the actions that we do in our life to bring that about. It's not enough to simply create that vision on the level of our consciousness. That gives us the support of nature in it. But then also, we've got to go out there and live our lives and apply our intelligence, apply our consciousness, apply our energy to create it on the level of all the things we have direct physical control over. So it's an inner and an outer process. And what Science of Creating Miracles is about is techniques to apply that. It's not just a matter of understanding. It's a matter of learning to apply our consciousness to create the life of our dreams.
Wonderful. So would it be fair to say that all inner conflict is directly responsible for all outer conflict? Both on the level of our lives, and the world, right?
Yeah. Right. Inner conflict is the foundation, the genesis of outer conflict, and the genesis of world peace is inner peace. If we have a world full of people living lives of harmony, who are at peace within themselves, at peace in their thoughts, their actions, their visions, what they're radiating out into the environment, what they're doing in the environment. We have a world full of people living peace and harmony. We have a peaceful and harmonious world. So inner development, inner expansion of consciousness, inner attunement is the basis of not only of success in life and getting stuff done, and of fulfilling the life of your dreams, but also creating a world full of peace, a world peace.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's definitely. I believe we can accomplish that with with this knowledge and the work. And I'm just so grateful for you bringing this to the table. Like we've heard of like whatever we focus on expands, right? We've heard about the secret, or the law of attraction, right? Or even Murphy's Law, right? The negative side of it, whatever we focus on, we end up getting more of, right? But it's like to know that this is really all there is. It's like, this is the ultimate truth, is that our thoughts and our consciousness are 100% responsible for our reality. It really does take all victim out of things and put the responsibility back on us to create the life of our dreams. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about transmutation, because that'll lead us into being able to hear from Satyen, which I'm very excited to hear from. So please tell us about that.
Yes, well, there's a lot of talk these days about transformation. Changing the form of something. It's like you have a statue of brass, you change the form, it's a different form, different looking statue. There's a lot of talk and a lot of very useful techniques for transformation, changing the form of your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, your self-image, changing the form, transformation. Transmutation, the word comes from alchemy, where the idea was not to change the form, but to change the substance itself, to transmute base metals into gold. So transmutation on the consciousness level is the process of not transforming your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your attitude, and so on, but creating a fundamental shift in who is creating those thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and so on. On the level of your being, transmutation is something that takes place on the level of your being, on the deepest level of your consciousness, the quietest level of your consciousness, the level of yourself, your large S self. That unbounded field of life that we all have within ourselves from where we create. So transmutation is a technology of experiencing that level of life and then unfolding it in our lives. And that's really what human life is about, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's something that we naturally do as we evolve as humans, throughout our life, right? And sometimes we take these quantum leaps in our life and have these huge shifts, right? But to be able to do this stuff on purpose very quickly, I'm a big fan of instant gratification, and I don't want to hold on to stuff any longer than I have to, and I want the results. And I know most people probably want the results now in their life, and so that has been my experience with Satyen and accelerated evolution and these modalities that you've brought to the table for us. And I'm just so grateful, because I've never found anything faster or seen anything faster than that. And so I appreciate you, Larry, for endorsing Satyen and coming on to the team. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Are you saying mine or Satyen's?
Yeah, give me yours first. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on it? Because you're the one with the scientific evidence behind the work. So I'd like to hear a little bit from you.
Well, what we've shown in the scientific laboratory is that we really do create our lives from our level of consciousness, and we can do that to a miraculous degree. And once again, this is not woo-woo. This is shifting the probability of quantum mechanical events that we measure in the scientific laboratory. And since the whole universe is quantum mechanical events, we really are, from the level of our consciousness, in command of our life and of our universe. And what Science of Creating Miracles is about is not just understanding that, but creating and practicing practical techniques to apply that in life to create the life of your dreams. And Satyen is a world-class expert of the highest order at applying consciousness to create miracles in life. And that's really what his life has been about and why it's been so inspiring for me to get to know him and familiarize myself with the things that he's been creating and teaching to so many people.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And on that note, I would love to hear from you, Satyen. Just tell us about you and your mission, and I would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Larry. All of us are aligned here. The big reason is because we wish to create a world that works for all of us, the whole world, a world of joy, a world of abundance, a world of peace. And that can only happen, I feel, when we're connected to what Larry was sharing, this deeper state, the depth of our consciousness, our soul, our essence, the wisdom center within our being, which through all the erraticness of life, through all the interference of life, many of us have lost touch with, through stress, struggle, overwhelm, tension, societal upheaval, pandemics, financial upheavals on the planet, societal challenges. All these things are battering our consciousness, pulling our consciousness away from soul and spirit, and getting it entangled in all the problems that are out there in the world. And then those things become more and more real. And we don't realize that we have, as Larry was saying, this godlike, divine-like capacity to create miracles. And unfortunately, if we don't know how that power works, we're creating anti-miracles, things that are causing destruction, pain and suffering and challenge. But we are collectively and individually contributing to that. Now, because we're in this circle, involved in all that we're interested in growth and consciousness and love and freedom, then we're those ones, we're the special individuals that have realized, hold on a sec, let's create from our potency. Let's create from freedom, from joy, rather than unconsciously create more problems on the planet and in our lives. Let's create beauty. And that's where Larry's book, The Science of Creating Miracles, we are one in this. My journey has been over 40 years investigating the deepest, most profound, most powerful psycho-spiritual methods that create transmutation. And because I have a deep background in martial arts, Bruce Lee's been a hero of mine. One of his philosophies was absorb what's useful, discard what's no longer useful and outdated. And that's what I've been doing. I've been studying and cultivating, looking at all the different methods of transformation, transmutation of our mind, our soul, our body. And what I've come up with is a methodology called accelerated evolution. We have an academy, Accelerated Evolution Academy. And in our academy, what we do is we train individuals, therapists, coaches, mentors, facilitators, everyday people, teachers, educators, anyone who's interested in creating rapid transmutation, as Dr. Larry was saying, in minutes, not what used to take weeks, months, years. Literally, we can remove traumas in 30 minutes or less. We can remove the deepest seated problems and challenges around health, relationships, vitality, life purpose, knowing who you are, finding out what you're here for, life purpose. All these things which would have taken months, years, if at all, to discover, we can achieve in minutes. This is the huge breakthrough. And minutes not in a superficial way, but minutes that take us right to the core of our true nature and our being. So I've been refining, cultivating these techniques that I've been taught from all my wonderful mentors over 40 years. And we bring it out for people to experience, because people nowadays, they're not interested, I'm sure everyone listening is not interested in long-term growth. They would like to have their spiritual growth, their freedom, and their love in a hurry. Why not, when we can have it right now, right? But without the sacrifice of the depth that our souls are calling for. So accelerated evolution is for those who know they got a deep purpose. They're here for a purpose. They feel they might have interference patterns that are holding them back from their greatness, from the purity and the fullness of manifestation in their life, and they wish to attain that quickly. So we've created a methodology. Everyone can go to acceleratedevolutiongift.com, acceleratedevolutiongift.com, and they can have an experience of accelerated evolution, and they'll know what Dr. Larry's been talking about, this murmur moment that you both have been sharing about, where we're really tapped on, turned on, and get connected with our soul essence. You'll find that the interference pattern turns into flow state, and then you start to stream wisdom from source, from within your being. And now you're able to navigate your life from depth, not from the superficiality that's always getting into our minds and all the distractions that all the advertisers want us to latch onto. We get to choose from soul. We get to realize, what is my soul's purpose? And when we come back into that alignment, my goodness, life becomes a miracle. It becomes transcendent. It becomes flowing. It becomes a life of sharing love rather than clamoring for love. It becomes a life of expressing and helping others feel freedom and attain freedom rather than neurotically trying to get freedom. So that's what we've been working on as a team, and we're bringing it out to the world. And we invite everyone who's listening to experience this depth of transmutation, as Larry was saying, that can happen in minutes. So come and bring your toughest thing that you're dealing with, the biggest challenge, the biggest pain that you've got going on personally and professionally. Go to Accelerated Evolution Gift, experiences for yourself. Pick up Dr. Larry's book, The Science of Creating Miracles. Learn how to live a life of miracles and be the miracle that we're meant to be here. Because I'm sure everyone here is meant to be a light in these turbulent times.
Yes. Thank you. And I just want to reiterate that, this has been the fastest modalities I've ever seen. And I've actually, I had stuff that was like with me for my whole life, that ailed me my whole life. In just minutes, the patterns dissolved, never to return again. It just blew me away, and I had to dive into this work myself with you, as you know now, for many years, and it has completely transformed my life, my relationships, my family's lives, and so many of my friends and my clients. It's like seeing this just in real time, how it can just effectively clear out all suffering and bring a life of love, peace, freedom, joy. Very quickly. I'm just so grateful for you for this work. And my goal with bringing this to the world, is to raise consciousness and awaken the world, of course, but to heal suffering and to get us to get out of our own way so that we can make the biggest impact in this world that we're meant to live our purpose and to live completely connected, on the path that we are meant to, and a life of purpose and joy. So thank you so much. And I'm so grateful for both of you for coming, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Larry, for your amazing work and supporting the world. Sage, for your passion and heart, and all the listeners. We're each and every one of us is unique and special. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not. We're a spark of the divine, and the fullness of who we are is being called for right now. So come and join us and be the contribution, be the joy that you're meant to be.
Thank you. Yes.